If you've ever felt trapped, powerless, helpless, confused, and most of all, frustrated because you know that there was something more to you and to this world, but you couldn't quite put your finger on it, you couldn't quite figure it out, you didn't quite know what to do or where to go or how to become more than what you or your circumstances currently are, this video is specifically designed for you. This video is here as a resource for you to watch and to be able to step into a version of yourself that is different from the current human version that you know, that you love, that we all love, that's sitting here watching this video. And what I mean, for those of you who are unsure of what I mean or confused by that, that's okay. But it should be an innate or intuitive understanding, okay, within. So I want you to check in with that as I say these words. But the true self we're talking about is the version of you that exists in a different dimension than the human self that we're talking about here. And the true self, or the higher, some people call it the higher self, if that's an easier reference for you, is the version of you that knows exactly what it is you're here to do, why you're here to do it, and when and even how you are supposed to do those things. And that is the self here and now in this video that we are tasked, all of us here watching, to integrate within you. Now, I want a quick disclaimer. If you're not ready for this type of video, all right, no bullshit. If you're not ready for this type of video or content, please feel free to click off. What I'm being told is that this video, they said, my guides said, it's a resource for those of you who are ready. And for those of you who are not ready for this, because it will be for some of you, an intense experience at the very least, it will be here when you are ready. Okay, so it's not going to go away anytime soon. But when you are ready and you've reached the point of no return and the point of utter exhaustion because you're ready to take that next step into who you really are and thus change everything around you, this video will be waiting. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. One more disclaimer before we get into it. This will be a channeled video. So me, the human Brandon practitioner, will be speaking with my angels and guides to allow them to speak through me to affect exactly who ends up watching this video. So this video will be attracted to and given what I'm being shown and told to a specific audience who is ready for it, who wants it, who's been asking for it, and it is time. Okay, so we will be talking specifically about you. If you don't feel that I'm talking to you, by the way, again, also I invite you and I plead you to click off the video because it is not for you, at least right now. Okay, so without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, the first step we have to talk about that we're going to go through in this video is how to actually, they're using the word, the guides, decontaminate the thought process around who you are in this moment in time. So what I mean by that is this human body that we all have that you're watching here, okay, at a very practical sense, gets quote unquote contaminated with a lot of different energies and thoughts and other people's opinions and your own opinions and society and the world, right? It gets mixed and jangled up with a whole bunch of different opposing or at least different energies to what and who you really are, okay? And the first step is identifying that you are not those things. You are not all of the things in this moment that you have decided at some point or another to take on in order so that you could learn how to remove them away from your true self. Okay? Now, to specify what they mean and what I mean by that is basically you watching, you decided on a soul level at some point, and this could be a karmic lesson or just something, it's not even a karmic lesson they're correcting me, they're saying it's just something you decided on a soul level to do, you specifically watching, to take on a whole bunch of crap that wasn't really true, that wasn't really for you, so that you could learn the skill and the experience and go through the experience of unlearning it. Okay, so that the reintegration of yourself and your truth was even more exciting, even more experiential. Okay, Okay. You should know by now, by the way, quick disclaimer, if I'm talking to you. If you feel like, holy shit, this guy's actually talking to me because I know I'm trying to get to my true self, but I also know I've been conditioned with a whole bunch of other stuff my entire life. Like you feel like my entire life I've been, you know, taken this way and down that road and, conditioned to believe or think that. And now I'm slowly unlearning all of it. And I'm realizing how much of those things I'm not. This video is about you. Okay. So the first step is that. And some of you are already way down the path with this. Others of you are just beginning, and there's a whole mix of those of you in between. But the first thing to do and to know in this moment in time is that you are free. You are free in this moment to let go of everything, and I mean fucking everything, that you no longer feel is serving you in this moment, that you took on or that you believe or believed about yourself, that is no longer allowing you to feel good, that is no longer allowing you to feel powerful, that is no longer allowing you to feel free and feel aligned. Now, I say all of this. Some of you might be wondering, why are you saying this? Of course I'm free. Many of us do not feel free to do that for one specific reason. We're going to hone in on why that actually is. And that's that there's this unspoken energy that they're showing me, the guides and angels are showing me, this unspoken rule that's in society right now that almost is like this kind of shroud. Okay, they're showing me this kind of shroud around society. And this unspoken, invisible shroud of society basically says you are not free to be, okay, to break away, to be something different than what we, right, this collective dark energy shroud tells you, we tell you, right, what it tells you you should be or need to be. Okay. Can you feel the shroud, by the way? Because some of you who are intuitive, you can tap into it as well. It's not just me. I'm not the only one who can do this. You guys, most of you can do, and gals can do this too. There's a shroud here. They're showing me the shroud and the dark energy around society that we're all a part of, or that we're kind of sticking to a little bit, says you are not free to be something different, to break away, to be who and what you really are. You're not free. You are entrapped. You are entangled. And no matter how much it doesn't serve you to be involved with this energy, no matter how much it doesn't serve you to align with that anymore, there's still that subconscious energy pulling at you and saying, no, you are not free to do this. So the first part of this video that we're talking about, and the guides and I are talking about, is giving you that permission here and now to say, no, no, no. And it's actually giving you the awareness, right? It's bringing into the awareness for those of us who didn't know that it was there. And I myself didn't even realize. I often don't get these truths until I start channeling, for you guys and gals. To bring the awareness that it's there, to identify it in your soul, where that's tugging at you right now in this moment in time. Chances are it's tugging at you somewhere, okay? And to specifically say to that energy and thing right now outside of you that you are wrong. You are wrong. I am free to be what I truly feel I'm here to be and do. I am free to quote unquote break away from all the rest of what others and other energies have said I needed to be or do or say or represent. And I'm free to go my own way and to go my own path. And you do not have any control over me or my choices or my actions, because I am a sovereign human self. Okay, those are the specific words to say, by the way. Sovereign human self. All right, repeat them with me. Sovereign, I am a sovereign human self. Okay? And by the way, just as a quick disclaimer, all these disclaimers, right? But it's little good, interesting tidbits that the guides throw in there somewhere. My guides, is that words are really important. Okay? Some of you may have learned about this. This is just a side note, but there's this, sovereign citizen movement going on, and people, you know, hopefully the YouTube video doesn't get tagged with that because it might, but it's like people who are unenrolling from, being quote unquote a US citizen, they're becoming something else. Well, there's some partial truth to that in that the words we identify ourselves, right? And so, anyways, what I mean by that is that citizen and any other word, they have connotations, they have energies behind them. Okay. So to say, I'm a sovereign human self, okay, that is giving you the power in this moment in time, like literally giving you reinstilling the power to break away and to do and be and represent something else that you want to be, do, and represent for yourself, that is for you, fulfilling for you, and representative of you, and nothing else besides that. Okay? So those of you who are wanting to and new to this and curious, pause this video and give this a shot. Okay? I want you to literally just pause the video, start with that, and say, all right, let's see if there's any truth in what Brandon's saying right here. And you will feel it. You will know, okay? Don't just take my word for it. Pause the video, close your eyes, try to find that dark shroud that we're talking about, that societal shroud that the guys are showing me, and say those words and say, no, we're breaking away from it, okay? So anyways, to sum everything up, the first step is finding the freedom, energetically speaking, within yourself, within your heart, within your soul, finding the freedom to be able to then represent and step into and re-represent, what they're saying, who you really and actually are. Okay. All right. So now you have the freedom. Whereas before, if you were attached to this energy, you weren't free fully. But now you have the freedom. And I want you to continue, even as we talk here in this moment, I want you to continue claiming that freedom, that sovereignty within yourself to be even more free within your truest self. Okay. Now that you have the freedom, you are able to, and you are more than allowed to, energetically speaking, within yourself, to sit in yourself, to sit in your belly, to sit in your soul. Okay. And I mean this literally, to sit back in your soul and your belly, and to just rest in who and what you are, without any other attachments, without any other energies, without any other influences pulling at you. Okay. One quick side note that I forgot to mention that I wanted to mention before is, per the last step, per the previous step, if this is true for you, energetically, if it's happening to you, you will also have people, things, environments, jobs, showing up in your life that represent that same kind of entanglement energy. Okay, this won't just be a thing that you're imagining inside. It will also externally represent itself. Okay, so if everything I just channeled and described matches up perfectly with your current job, the boss or coworkers at your current job, your friends, your family, your parents, your spouse, any of that, okay? You know that thing is basically something that's entangled or part of or representative of your entanglement with the dark shroud of energy that says you are not free to be what you really are, okay? So just keep that in mind, because those things may pop up in your soul and your mind as I say them. That's why we say them, so you can identify where and how that entanglement is showing up for you. Okay. Once you take that freedom back within yourself and your belly, you can sit with it. And the next step here to align with your true self and find that power within and align with that is to sit within that for long enough to actually perceive, feel, and then re-identify with what that true self is. Okay. I'm going to break this down because this is very specific. This is very technical. Okay. So hang with me here. But Because on the surface, that may sound very generic and okay, well, what do I actually do? Here's what you actually do. Okay. Hands on your belly, closing your eyes. Okay. Letting go, as we said, taking your full freedom, your sovereignty to be within yourself. And you just literally sit here now. Yeah, let go. You let go, you let go, you continuously let go until you fully feel that you are simply resting with that which is what you are and that which is what you are alone. As you do that, slowly over time, or all of a sudden, the truth and the essence of what you really are will come rushing in to be identified by you. Okay. Now, the slightly scary or intimidating part about this, and this is why this video, as we said in the beginning, is only recommended to certain people, is because this exercise, this truth that we're talking about, it's very likely that this truth that comes rushing in is very, very different from the human truth or the other version of who you were or who you identified as or who you were labeled as from this society. We're saying it may be radically different, like your beliefs about things, your perceptions, your opinions, okay, your thought processes, the way you identify yourself, like radically different. And this is scary for many people, including myself, human branding, because I've been through this and going through this as well, to accept. Because when it is accepted by you and it's accepted over the other part of you that we previously described in step number 1, everything changes. And everything changes dramatically and everything changes all at once. Okay? So take your time with this, but the key is sitting in free with the freedom, with the sovereignty you just gained in step number 1, sitting in who and what you really are and continuing to sit in that energy until the very essence and information and identity and energy of that version of you comes rushing in, yeah, slowly over time and or all at once in order for you to identify what that really is. Okay. Quick side note here is that when you first do this, the energy of what you really truly are may seem for some of you so radically different than what you previously identified as that you won't even at first recognize what comes rushing in to be you. That's how radically different we're talking about. You may think or it may seem like this energy that's actually you is foreign, okay, to what you previously thought you were. So just know if you go through that experience and you're like, "Whoa, I'm getting all this information, I'm getting this energy, but it's like that's so different from what I thought I was." Don't worry, keep going. You're on the right track. Okay. What will take time, okay? What will take time, what I'm hearing to tell you is like your acceptance of that truth of who and what you really are. That will take some time. Like the full acceptance of that. Yeah. Because it is so radically different and because within that truth so many things will absolutely change or need to change in your current life right now in order to align with that. Okay? Okay. I also want to throw this in that this transitionary process we're all going through as a human race, a collective, whatever you want to say, an Earth. For those of you watching, at the very least, it's normal. No matter what you are, who you are, where you're at in life, generally speaking, this is absolutely happening or going to be happening to everyone. You're probably just some of the first to it's happening to, or that you need to know this about. Like this is for you. So it's a normal thing to transition from that old way of being into the new way of being, you don't need to be scared. Yeah. You don't need to be scared of that. The world, okay, for those of you who are wondering this and what the purpose really is and why to actually do it, the world is going to change dramatically in conjunction with the rate at which we all make that change, and then number two, accept that which needs to be changed. Okay. And so eventually the entire world is actually transitioning into what you, if you choose to take part in this video, are transitioning into as well, which is the most aligned version with our true self. And then all of us aligned in our true selves in operating in the world. That's a very different world. Okay. So it's very likely that you watching this are going to represent this in your field, in your industry, okay? In whatever place God and the angels and your guides and your higher self takes you to be. That's why you're going through that. That's why you're watching this video, so that you can be the change, be the transition to your true self and represent that as a teacher, as a leader, or at least as a role model example for everyone around you, okay? And then you can refer them to this video when they're ready. Okay. Okay, so I want you all here and now to, as you're going to, step number 2 is going to take a while. And this could be something that you practice over time. But I strongly recommend that you write down what comes through during this part of the exercise, during this part of the transitionary process, okay? Step number 3 is we're gonna talk about is going to be how to actually take this part of you and to, like, act with it, to find your power with it, right? To like have confidence with it, all that stuff. But that's why step number 2, I mean, they're all the steps are important, but step 2 is particularly important and will take likely the most time, because in order to have power from who and what you are, right? In order to derive the true power from your true self, you have to know what that true self is and have the confidence that it is actually true, that it is actually you, that it is actually right, all those types of things. Okay, that's why we covered the disclaimer. Is it okay? Do I have permission to do this? Right? It's scary. I'm one of the first to do this. All those types of things. Okay. So I want you all, and my recommendation, your homework is to, as you sit in step number 2, as information comes through, as you are detached from that shroud we talked about, and you are just free to sit in who and what you are, and boom, the information comes rushing in. Just write it out, write it out, write it out. Write out as much as you can until you can read it back and say, oh my gosh, I previously identified as that person, but my true self and what I'm getting now, if I can believe that, and you might over time, is this. And this is on paper. And we'll talk about step number 3 in a second, but that's how you really solidify, or you put a boundary around step number 2, and you really kind of ground it into your self, your body. Okay. And as a sum of what this process we're going through basically is, it's basically in the spiritual terms, right? The spiritual terminology, it's like downloading yourself, downloading your true self into your human self, integrating your higher self into your human form. Okay. And then this is basically teaching you, how to do that, hopefully why, and then number 3 is how to make use of that, okay, for your purpose and for the world. Okay. Now let's get to step 3. And again, feel free again to pause or rewind and go back on this video, and you may need to take it in stages, is what I'm hearing. Okay. So just wherever you're at, but this is the tutorial, okay, for your higher self integration. Number 3 is actually utilizing the truth that you have instilled within yourself, or that you've realized is your true self, and learning how to take action within that. Okay. Now, one of the scariest things after you go through this process is you're going to realize and you're going to feel inside of you really different and really powerful. And we're talking not just like a little bit, we're talking like superhuman powerful. Like, I can do anything in the world powerful. Nothing is going to stop me powerful. I am here to change the world powerful. Okay? This is the level of energy, confidence, and power that you are going to receive by doing this exercise. And the scariest part about that is once you have this power, there's really no going back. And you get to decide, you watching, how you want to wield that power to dramatically influence and shift and change the world and the perceptions of others. And to realize as well that your power, your integrated power, is and will, definitely will, change the perception of others in the world without even trying. Just by the very integration of the energy that we did with you right now. Okay. Now, step number 3 is saying there's a very specific way in which your power, that can't be spoken on this video because it will be different for every single one of you watching, by the way. But there's a very specific way that you get to identify that your power, your true self, your true essence wants to go, wants to do. So after you have taken the time to integrate and to identify what your true self is, the third step, the third question would be, okay, with this newfound identity and your power, what is it that I'm here with this new self to do? What does this new part of me, this new identity of me want to do, want to be, want to represent for the world right now in this moment in time? Right now in this moment in time, not in 10 years, not in 5 years. One thing that is very, very, very important that's going to change your life just by this one thing itself is by getting rid of time periods. Ages and time periods. This is the thing that a lot of us humans, myself included, get caught up in. Oh, what do I want to be or do in 5 years? Oh, what do I want to be in 2 or you don't know. You don't know what the world, what you, what other people around, what circumstances. You have no idea. And the best psychics in the world, trust me, I do it as a profession, don't know what is going to happen in the next year, in the next month, in the next 5 years, let alone 10 years for you or for anyone else for that matter. Because it's not allowed. Okay? There's only possibilities. There's only possibilities. And that's what psychics can channel, by the way. We can channel possibilities, okay? But that's a different video, all right? Not for right now. The key here is constantly asking yourself, once you have identified this power, what is it I am here to do now with this new identity in this moment in time? And you ask yourself by that on a day by day, hour by hour, and even minute by minute basis. And what will happen is this energy inside of you that you've allowed to integrate within your true self will know the way forward. Each and every time, without you even trying, without you even putting effort into it, and without you having to know the way forward. Okay. So this third step is also about trust. It's the hardest because it requires the most amount of trust within yourself, trust within the true self that you've now integrated or downloaded into you, trust that you can be this version of yourself in the world, in a world where you were previously attached to, right, and beholden to this dark shroud that wanted everyone to be a certain way and wasn't allowed to be their own thing. There's a lot of things you're going to have to break and violate and do quote unquote wrong in and about society in order to be this version of yourself. But you are not beholden. You're not beholden, dear viewer, to society. You're beholden to God, the energy of the universe, the consciousness of the universe, and yourself. Okay? Those two things. And our duty, if that sounds crazy, hear me out. Our duty is to trust that those two things will automatically give us what we're here to do that is both in alignment with the highest good for the universe and every single person in this universe. That's God's energy. That's the reason we bring God into it. Okay? That's what that consciousness polices when we're doing this. And then you, which is what is uniquely fulfilling for you to do, be, create, provide for this world. That's it. And I promise you, and the guides promise you, and God promise you, if you are beholden to only those two things, not even society, because society is a human construct. It's a human construct. Okay? It's a tool for us. It's a tool for the world, a tool for humans, right? I'm not saying it's a bad thing, by the way. But it's not what you're beholden to. You're not beholden to only being or representing something that is good or responsible for society. No. Not the only thing. Not saying that's a bad thing either. But you're not beholden to it. There's a difference there, do you see? And you can still do things that are good for society or good for humankind when you are beholden to both, as we said, God, the highest good for the universe and the world, and yourself. And those two things keep us in alignment. The beholden to yourself, which is what is truly fulfilling for me and what I'm going to be lit up for the rest of my life, and find peace and fulfillment and power and love and all and abundance and just genuine fulfillment. And then the consciousness of God, which is all of that with the highest good for every single thing or person that exists in this universe. As long as you are beholden to those two things, dear viewer, you can do and be whatever the hell you want. Because those two things will compel what is naturally going to be in the highest good for not just you, but every single person around you and the society overall that we're talking about. And you may wonder, why are we saying all of this? Why are we getting into this? Because one of the deepest fears that I can feel in those of you watching and all of us innately is, what if we're not doing what is best for society? Like, remember that dark energy, that dark shroud? We're addressing it now. That shroud is like, you have to be beholden to society first. Not God, the consciousness of the universe, or you. You're beholden to society first. You are, in essence, a slave or a servant to society first. And it's not supposed to be like that. Do you see? That's why we're saying all of this. We're saying this so you can identify and go, oh, I don't have to feel guilty about being myself or being beholden to God first over the society, even though that's what's told to me and been told to me my entire life. That's not the truth. That's not the best way to live for all of us. Instead, when we behold ourselves to God, the consciousness of the universe, which is automatically for the highest good of everything and everyone around, and ourselves, that automatically creates and will create the world and the society and the human constructs that are even more beneficial for everyone. And my hope is that this video, or this message at the very least, can reach millions of people, because I think enough of us have had enough, okay, of what happens when we are just simply beholden to society. Because I think we can all agree there's some big issues. There's some very big fundamental issues with the way society runs right now for the good of all. And you're free to disagree with me and with the guides. You're totally free to do that if you don't agree. That's okay. We're not saying you can't disagree. We're saying there's some big issues with the way things are currently going right now, in the way things are run in society. And there's a better way. And this is the better way that we have to start with first. This is how you watching can be empowered to be the change and be the start to the revolution of what society really is and can become. And not just society, but of course, the world. And it does, and it will require bravery. It does, and it will require courage from you watching, to give yourself full permission to be this, to be all that you can be, to be the version of yourself that we are referring to, that we're talking about, that you're going to discover now and along the way. And even more courage, by the way, to then ask this version of yourself what it is, how this energy of you, the true version of you, wants to do or be, or show up in society, in the world. And then to allow yourself to trust yourself to take those actions, right, takes even more courage. But that, in case you're wondering, dear viewer, is how we all change the world. One person at a time. One version of you in your true self, showing up in the world unapologetically, being everything that you are, doing everything that you're here to do from your true self, here to revolutionize and change the way the world works and society works, is what we need right now. And if you ever think to yourself, and I know some of you and I myself think this sometimes too, Human Brandon, oh, what are we supposed to do? There's so many issues in the world happening right now. There's this happening and that happening and this happening. And oh my gosh, I have no control. We have no control. We, the people, have no control. What are we supposed to do? This is what you're supposed to do. This is how you take your power back. And by taking your power back, have the ability to actually shift what's going on in society and in the world and for other people. And always remember, please, if it's nothing else from this video that you take away, please take this away. All you have to do to change everything is change yourself. That's it. You don't have to go be a preacher and, have millions of people following you and seeing you and, hearing your. It's like, you don't have to do that. You really don't. All you have to do is change yourself first, and allow yourself first, and give yourself the permission and have the courage and have the trust to be yourself first. And as you do that, that in itself creates the ripple, creates the change, creates the catalyst necessary for everything else around you to change as well. That is how you do your part and take responsibility in changing the world and changing society right frickin' now. No other excuses needed. No other, oh, I'm powerless to do this or do. No, that is how you do it right now. And I promise you that you watching, you will notice changes. You will notice changes in your world, in your environment, if you do this, if you are brave enough to do this and take these steps. I promise you, because I've lived it. I know fundamentally that my own energetic state and who I believe I am and what I'm representing changes my environment, changes what shows up in my environment, the people in my environment, everything changes. Okay? And trust me when I say, if you are in an amazing state and you get people who are against that or, counter that, it's so that you can actually change their state too. Okay? That's the only reason. Because sometimes those people who are not ready or have the worst attitudes, they need to show up in your light. They need to show up in your environment so that your energy can actually change the people who need it the most. Ironically. Okay. So we all urge you, the guides and I, and the rest of the world all urge you to say here and now that yes, if you decide, I decide here and now to take my power, to take my true power back inside of me, to identify it, to identify with it and as it, and then to identify what it is it wants me to do after I've disassociated from the energetic shroud of what society told me I should be or should do. And then I choose to move forward and allow moment by moment, here's the key, moment by moment, day by day, hour by hour, for that energy to lead me forward, to dictate my actions, to dictate what I do, who I am, who I become, what I create, and what I do for the rest of my life. And dear viewer, it's trust. It's trust in that part of you that knows the way, without you fully understanding even logically the way forward. It's that part of you that knows the way that you just have to surrender to and say, all right, I trust that you're going to lead me to a good place. I trust that where you lead me is going to create the highest possible circumstances and outcomes for myself and the world around me. Okay. And we say this part, it's not to, people always say, let go and let God. And I love that phrase. I think it's great. But you also got to realize that God is waiting for you to take that control and take charge in that way. It's not just, oh, I leave it to God and God. No, you are God. God is you. God is inside of you. God's like, hey, are you gonna take some action here? Are you gonna, make this changes that we're talking about? It's on you. Okay? Within yourself. That's the truth. So it's you trusting yourself that is in alignment with the best for you and everyone around you and the consciousness of God. And then God's going to be smiling upon you and saying, there you go. We all knew you could do it. Okay. And you don't have to wait. This gives you permission. The permission slip signed. It was signed at the day of birth, by the way. Your permission slip was signed at the day of birth to go ahead. It's like God's like, yeah, go. We're waiting for you. You don't need to wait on me. Okay, the way was clear all along. And I'll leave you with this. And that is that what is it, dear viewer, with the true parts of yourself that are in most alignment with God, the consciousness of the universe, and you, your true self watching, what is it you choose with that part of yourself to do, to be, and to represent here, now, in this moment, and for the rest of your life in this lifetime? Godspeed. And we're waiting for you to lead the way. And there's nowhere else to go, by the way. There's nowhere else to go but back home within yourself. That's it. That's the last thing you need to know. There's nowhere else you need to go right now but back home within your true self. As long as you do that, we promise you, as long as you trust and you have the courage to let that lead the way, the rest will be laid out on a silver platter for you. The rest of your life will be laid out on a silver platter for you. Do you choose to trust that part of yourself to lead your way home? 44:44. Right on time. Ooh, it's going to be causing some crises in some people. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful for you. If you enjoyed this content, cue the random end of YouTube video spiel. If you enjoyed this content, be sure to subscribe if you want more content just like this. Your subscription, free, and of course your comment and likes and all that stuff gives human Brandon the confirmation and clarity he needs in order to keep giving you the content that you want and that you need, and that's for the highest good. So let us all know if this was helpful, okay? If you found it helpful, then feel free to share the video. And I know that this video is going to find who it needs to find. Again, if this video wasn't for you right now, it may not be for other people right now. So just know that everyone's on their own time, okay, with this. And so there's no rush here. But it is a resource that you might want to save for later, okay, if you're not fully ready for everything, so you can watch back and go through the steps when you are ready. Okay, I love you all. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon in my upcoming programs and future videos. Bye for now. Namaste.